Hello everyone, it's your lovely Abbie Dagrin, and welcome back to my YouTube channel /podcast lovelies. Today I'll be continuing the series. This is my fourth episode in regards to relationship, and I've been doing relationships on family. So today, since last week I talked about positive family relationships, I will be talking about negative family relationships this week. So please stay tuned for my podcast/video. If you have not yet become a part of the Abbie Dagrin family, then this is your calling to do so. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when I upload videos on the daily. Also hit that like button because I know you guys will love this video. Please share this video with everyone you know, whether that's your friends, family members, enemies, and also share this podcast with everyone you know as well. Now let's get right into the video/podcast. Family is extremely important because everybody in society came from a family. So whatever you got from that family, you more than likely brought that outside of the family. So when you don't have the best family members or you don't have the best family unit, it can be hard for you to really deal with people or really talk to people or really know what true love is. So one of the ways to see or know that your family members or you don't have a good family unit is, first things first, you are expected to meet unrealistic standards. And at times in our families, we do all have a role, whether it's a mother or father, a son or daughter, grandmother or grandfather, and you may have had a role in the family. However, having an unrealistic standard is something that shows a not so positive family. First things first, parents will discipline younger siblings or provide most of their care to them. So maybe if you were in a family and you were the oldest child, your parents made you do a lot of things that were not required of you. Being the oldest child, being the middle child, being the younger child has nothing to do with your role in society or have anything to do your role in the family, because I know at times a lot of families that are not the best in regards to having relationships will make sure that the oldest make sure everyone is in control, make sure that the oldest disciplines the younger children or the oldest raise the children, or they will make sure that the middle child is not acknowledged and they don't take care of the middle child like they treat the other children, and the youngest sometimes can get away with things. However, regardless of what order you were born into things, that has nothing to do with your role in the family. Just because someone is the oldest, they should not be taking care of other children. And this is something that, even though it's controversial, it's honest, because a lot of people or parents would put responsibility on children just because they're the oldest. No, they are children. They are children. And being a child should be cherished until you can't be a child anymore. And then a lot of family members or parents want respect, but you're putting the older child on the same level as you by making them take care of children, because they didn't have those children. And being the middle child, a lot of parents will not take care of the middle child. They will ignore the middle child like the middle child does not exist, which is not good, because every child should be taken or treated equally. Why is the middle child being treated differently? They are a child just like everyone else. And then the younger child should be treated equally as well, because sometimes, yes, some parents may just let them do whatever they want. However, some younger child, sometimes they don't treat them very nicely as well. So we want to be able as parents, as grandparents, to treat all of our children equally, regardless of their age, and set standards for each of them equally. Taking on responsibilities like cooking meals or doing certain heavy chores before you could safely or capable of doing so. So sometimes parents will make you do things that you weren't able to do, and that's something that should not be done in a family. For example, like when the children are young, they could fold their clothes, they can do their beds. Like, yeah, and then when they grow older, you can teach them how to wash dishes and do things that are nice. Or you can teach them about finance, you can teach them about things. However, let them be a child, and while they're being a child, know the appropriate age to teach them things, providing emotional support as if they were your partner or an adult. So if you're in a family and the family members tend to talk about things with children that they should not be talking about, that is not good, because children feel as though they are responsible for their parents' emotions or their emotional support, so they probably won't be honest with how they feel. And this is one characteristic of not a positive or a negative family relationship. Next up, you were harshly criticized, and sometimes parents may reprimand or criticize their children's behavior sometimes, and that's important because you want to teach your child what's right and what's wrong, but sometimes, at times, it can come out as bullying and not the nicest, or you're going to make your child feel unwanted, unloved, or inferior. Or any family member in regards to the family. You will make them feel like they're inferior, or they're just not wanted, or they're not worth it, or they're unloved. And any parent should talk to their child when they do something. Like if they took something or if they broke something, just be like, okay, dear, please make sure that you're careful next time, but make sure you clean up the mess that you made. If they took something without asking, that's not theirs. You have to be honest with them. My child, you should not be taking things from your siblings. You have to ask them first, and make sure that you treat your children equally, because if that doesn't happen, then they will hate each other or dislike each other based off of how the parents treat them. Just try your best to be honest with your children and don't criticize them, but just be honest and say, you know what, my child, this isn't good, and there are consequences, but don't make the consequences very harsh. Make them, reasonable. Okay, nobody's needs are being met in regards to the family. Obviously, no one's perfect, and at times, maybe your parents weren't the great when picking out school, but sometimes they may forget to do things like maybe pay electricity, maybe pay the power, or maybe forgot to buy food, or maybe forgot to buy clothes. Like, being in a family where the parents or family members are being very neglectful is not good, because you feel as though when you grow older that you're not worth it. Like, you asking for the bare minimum is doing too much, when the electricity should be on, the power should be on, food should be on the table. And this can be hard because that's very unfortunate, because when children or people grow up, they're going to take the bare minimum from people. They'll be like, well, when I was young, I didn't have electricity and I didn't have any water or food. Well, at least this person's giving me this, even though they're treating you not the best, but at least they're giving me food. At least they're giving me electricity. At least they're doing this. So, maybe they're not that bad. So that's another example of a negative family bond or a negative family relationship. Next up is that you feel controlled. When you do live in your parents' house or you lived in a family member's house, obviously you have to go by their rules because it is their house. However, having control, like where you leave your room, when you can take a shower, when you can do this, like being controlled isn't the best, or feeling like you can't make decisions unless you're going to be not regarded in the family anymore. That's another thing that comes with a negative family relationship. You can't do anything and you just feel controlled. That's another negative family trait, and that's something that will need to be worked on, and being honest with everyone and knowing that you don't like to feel controlled, and being controlled isn't fun and isn't something you should be. It's something that will be able to hopefully be changed. Next up, another negative family relationship trait is you don't feel loved, you don't feel compassion or respect. You may feel as though that you are being belittled or mocked for your choices. They're not understanding whether they agree or not, and they can be open with their disagreement, but they can at least be supportive of what you're going through. And like any family, we're going to have disagreements. However, when you make a decision that the family doesn't like, they would probably shun you or go at your self-esteem or attack your vulnerable points. And that's something that is a trait of a very negative family relationship. Being belittled for your choices and making sure that the family no longer agrees with you, no longer talks to you, is something that is a part of a negative family relationship. Another negative family trait would be substance abuse. So usually when there is substance abuse going on in the family, a lot of people may be hurt by that situation, or a lot of those people who are dealing with those issues will not be the best and will hurt the family a lot, do things, maybe be physical in a negative way with a family member, or do things that are unacceptable, like saying very negative things about other family members. And substance abuse is something that really destroys families, and that's something that anyone who does have substance abuse needs to work on, because I've seen it firsthand how substance abuse can break up families. So if you do have substance abuse, please make sure you get the help that you need, starting therapists, because there's obviously something deeper that's going on that's making you want to do these substances. So having substance abuse is something that does destroy families, and it is a negative family trait. Next up is covering up for degeneracy. So you may have family members who may do things that are not good, and I'm going to be very subtle with this, so you guys can use your imagination as to what I mean not good. They may do things to hurt other family members, and when they do it, or when other family members talk about it, they're dismissed, and people will cover up for those family members. A lot of those family members will not be incarcerated for the things that they've done, and covering up for things that are not good within the family member is very bad, because the people who are the victims of these family members are not heard, and they are made to feel ashamed instead of the family members who are doing the wrong. So that is a negative family relationship right there, when you have family members defending the undefendable and making the victim look like they're the person who's doing something wrong. So if you're within a family that protects people who are not the best in the family, that is another trait as to how you know you do have a negative family relationship. That's all I have for you lovelies today in regards to negative family relationships. Please let me know in the voice messages on my podcast or in the comment down below. Do you think that you and your family have a toxic relationship or a negative family relationship? And what do you think that could be done to help it? So please let me know that down below. If you're on my channel, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, like and share this video and podcast. And if you have not yet followed me on my social media accounts, please do so, because I do post a lot of content on there that is not posted on my podcast and on my YouTube channel. I love you all. Please stay safe and healthy. Know that you are blessed and lovely, and you deserve nothing but the best. I'll hear you guys in my next video or podcast. Bye, lovelies.